Good evening. Staff and patients are being warned to be vigilant after a woman was attacked outside Southampton General Hospital. The 32-year-old victim, believed to be a nurse, was walking along Tremona Road on Thursday afternoon when she was pulled to the ground during an attempted robbery. A member of the public came to help and the man fled. A teenage boy remains in hospital with head injuries after being attacked by a gang of men with a hammer in Oxford. The 16-year-old was approached by a car as he waited for a bus on St Clement's Street on Thursday. He was then chased along Rectory Road and assaulted. Many of us have been moved by the plight of refugees arriving in Europe and Calais from war-torn countries. A year ago, a group of people came together in Berkshire to try to help. Nasreen Issa explains.
It was after seeing pictures on the news like these that a group of friends from the south put an appeal out asking for donations to help the refugees. They thought they'd get a few boxes of aid. Instead, so much arrived that this warehouse was soon full. And 1 year on, the donations are still coming.
It was a shock to us, for sure. We hadn't prepared for that much stuff, and it meant that we had to very quickly find storage and things, and we constantly have people wanting to drop stuff off and people asking what they can do to help. 400
dedicated volunteers help to sort, pack and send the donations.
When we think of refugees, we often think of these people who are so different from us in all these other countries, but I think we could have been born anywhere in this world.
High rental costs mean the warehouse is closing, but the work will continue.
Rather than having the big warehouse here where people can come down and volunteer, we're going to be asking people to run drop days in their local community. So in a local school, a church hall, if they've got a space in their garden even, we can work with them to drop stuff off and get it all sorted.
Calais says it has delivered 200 tonnes of aid to 53,000 people. Nasreen Issa, ITV News.
More than 25,000 people pulled on their running shoes for the Great South Run today. The 10-mile race attracts some of the world's fastest athletes and raises millions for charity. Mel Blore was there.
With the sun shining and the crowds cheering, the 26th Great South Run got underway. First were the elite women, followed by the men, and then everyone else.
I think it was these guys' idea. It was a work thing. We wanted to do it for a good cause, and yeah, we just thought we'd get together and do it. So maybe regretting it slightly now. I think we'll be all right when we start. I think we'll be good when we start.
I've not done a long distance run in a while, since I was young. So I thought, give it a go, see how I get on and see what happens really.
I've done this event the last 3 years and really love it. It's fast and flat course, so I'm trying to go for a PB.
Among the runners today, firemen, Zippy and George, and a rhino called Ellie.
Love animals and I also love a challenge, so it's kind of the natural combination of the two really.
First across the finish line for the men in just over 47 minutes was Britain's Chris Thompson, who lives in Fleet. For the women it was Ethiopian Tirinish Dubaba, while Lily Partridge from Farnham came third.
I only live like 40 minutes from here, so it's kind of feels a little bit like a hometown. So yeah, no, but I love it. It's flat. There was one slight rise, but I think it only felt like a rise because it was at a point in the race where you're tired. But yeah, no, brilliant course, brilliant organisation, so it's good.
For those who weren't worried about their time today, well, they were just happy to cross the finish line. Mel Blore, ITV News, Portsmouth.
On to football, and Southampton extended their unbeaten run to 5 games in the Premier League with a 1-1 draw away to Manchester City. Nathan Redmond scored his 3rd goal of the season before the home side equalised in the second half. A tiny locker key salvaged from a victim of the Titanic has been sold for £85,000 at auction. The key, which belonged to a 3rd-class steward, Sidney Sedendry from Shirley, was used to retrieve life jackets from a locker when the ship sank in 1912. Well, let's have a look at the weather forecast now with all the details. Here's Philippa.
From puddles to paddling, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Hello there. Well, it's certainly been a fairly settled weekend across the region, but something a little more changeable coming our way through the next 24 hours. More in the way of clouds, some outbreaks of rain as well. But with that, the winds will be easing off as well. So we can see just what's going on. A band of rain down towards the south. That will gradually push its way northwards through tonight and into tomorrow. But hopefully nothing too heavy on it, and the rain tending to peter out as it works its way steadily northwards. As I said, that process all begins tonight. The thickening cloud moving northwards, the outbreaks of rain gradually moving northwards too, and of course underneath all the cloud, a much less chilly night than it has been for many of us. Temperatures won't fall below around 8 or 9 degrees. So tomorrow morning, a pretty dull start to the day, a damp start for some as well where that rain lingers. Little change through the day, but I think if anything the rain tending to peter out, the emphasis on dry conditions during the afternoon, but still plenty of cloud around, and that will hold the temperatures down. So for many of us, highs just around 12 or 13 degrees. But looking ahead to the next few days, a lot of dry weather on the cards, certainly a fair amount of cloud, some sunshine to be found, any rain fairly few and far between, and temperatures slowly recovering.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Well, that's it from the weekend team. We'll be back from 6 a.m. tomorrow during Good Morning Britain. Join us for that if you can. But from all of us here, have a very good night. Bye-bye.